He's dribbling the ball with everything on the line. He's driving down the pitch. He's facing price hikes and cuts past him. Carrier Contracts tries to block him. Oh, he leaves him in the dust. He's at the edge of the box. He cuts past the nonstop group chat trash talk. He clears on goal. He shoots. Goal! Unlimited data for $25 a month forever!
Visit your local Boost Mobile store today to get unlimited data with a price that never changes. Boost Mobile. After 30 GB, customers may experience lower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost $25 unlimited plan.
You stopped waiting for permission and started building yourself, your dreams, your credit. Experian Boost could turn your on-time payments into instant FICO score gains. Every bill you paid could become proof of your power. Self-made? Absolutely. Self-funded? Experian could help you get there. Download the Experian app today. Results will vary. Not all payments are Boost eligible. Some may not see improved scores or approval odds. Not all lenders use credit information impacted by Experian Boost. See Experian.com for details. Experian.
It's Saturday, 4th of July. I'm Jamie East, and this was a week that saw Andy Burnham lay out his plans. Donald Trump cash in on his presidency, Captain Kane save England's World Cup, and tributes to a sitcom queen.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
but not the news.
Monday saw the man most likely to become the UK's next Prime Minister make his first substantial policy speech. Speaking at the People's History Museum in Manchester and dressed in his trademark T-shirt and jacket, Andy Burnham laid out a clear vision for the UK if he becomes leader. He says that growth needs to become decentralised to every postcode and that part of that will include a shifting of power from Downing Street.
I have had 10 years of fighting the Whitehall machine, blocking this place's progress, and I am simply not prepared to accept the same for any area coming after Greater Manchester. The whole of Whitehall will now be required to get behind our places and work together with them to make quicker, more joined-up decisions.
He didn't detail any plans for a cabinet, but he promised the biggest council housing building programme since the post-war period and a reform of business rates designed to create a renaissance on Britain's high streets. Tory leader Kemi Badenoch was being polite but firm as she requested a formal presentation of the new PM's plan.
Andy Burnham should delay the summer's parliamentary recess, come to the House and tell us his plan for this country. This is not a game. It should not be a soap opera.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Keir Starmer has been busy tidying up his inbox before the arrival of Andy Burnham. Tuesday saw the current PM finally publish the Defence Investment Plan, which already caused the resignation of both Defence Secretary John Healey and Minister Al Carnes. The good news from a defence point of view is that the PM found an additional £15 billion over the next 4 years, but the bad news is that some of that funding has come from scrapping road and energy schemes. He was keen to explain that the current state of the world means Britain must spend more on defence.
We see countries that are arming and tensions that are rising, a more dangerous and volatile world than at any time for decades. We see the horrendous human toll of these conflicts, which cuts across our values of justice and sovereignty. And that simple British impulse that bullies and dictators cannot be allowed to push people around.
The new plan will see investment in Britain's nuclear deterrent, a move to create a new hybrid Royal Navy, investment in a new generation of stealth jets, and a commitment to create a drone transformation for the UK's armed forces. Tory Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge was unimpressed, however.
It's quite simply a case of too little, too late. Too late. Not just because the plan is months overdue, but also because much of the capability it contains won't be in service until the 2030s.
Wednesday saw Prime Minister Keir Starmer facing off against Tory leader Kemi Badenoch for what might be one of his last PMQs. The hot topic was still the Defence Investment Plan, which hasn't impressed the Tory leader, who described it as a mess, and she was busy pointing out that the funding still appears to be £5 billion short of the total requirements. She was also keen to suggest that any shortfall should be taken from welfare spending. The PM wasn't in the mood for criticism, however.
No lectures from them. They failed in the first duty of government. And they won't defend their record, will they? Never do they stand here and defend their record, because they can't. 14 years of failure. They don't get up and apologise, which is what they should do, because they would admit what we all know, how much they failed. So they just sit there pretending it didn't happen.
There are definitely some issues with the defence plan, which is scheduled to roll out until 2030 and take defence spending to 2.7% of GDP. Defence Minister Luke Pollard says he and new boss Andy Burnham only found out on Tuesday that the plan isn't as yet fully funded.
And they've been keeping him close to the process and told yesterday when the Treasury published the statement and the breakdown of
of the financial costs.
Yes, but it's
£15 billion extra money, which as a Defence Minister I welcome, and I want to see that money spent wisely.
There was some advice for Burnham on Thursday from former Starmer Chief of Staff Morgan McSweeney, who was ousted over the Mandelson scandal. He says that while Labour worked hard to win the election, they and he did not sufficiently plan for what to do when they took power.
I did start to realise that we hadn't done enough to prepare for government. It was very hard to get people to focus on what we needed to do to win to begin with. And then once we started getting into 2022, 2023, it was about building the machine.
Meanwhile, the Defence Investment Plan continued to cause controversy, with Rachel Reeves coming under pressure over revelations that the plan is not fully funded and will require at least £5 billion extra before 2030.
As Chancellor, I have budgets of hundreds of billions every year. We're talking about around £1 billion a year that we will set out at the budget, but that's quite normal.
Last weekend saw the US and Iran trade strikes after an Iranian drone hit a Panama-flagged vessel in the Strait of Hormuz on Saturday. The vessel was not following Iran's preferred route when it was hit, and the US and then Iran launched retaliatory strikes at each other, putting the ceasefire into doubt. Israel continued to strike at Hezbollah targets in Lebanon, despite a new agreement there, and it's not clear what the path to peace is currently. US Vice President J.D. Vance was trying to sound unconcerned about the state of the deal as he spoke to Bill Maher at the weekend.
If we make the final deal, then great. If we don't make the final deal, their nuclear program is still destroyed. They're still much weaker as a country. So my attitude is America wins either way. But I do think that what the president has done is asked us to do something that, frankly, nobody in 47 years of dealing with the Iranians has done, which is offer them an opportunity to fundamentally transform how they behave with the West.
The reappearance of Joe Biden this week won't have calmed Donald down either, as the former president blasted Trump over his behaviour.
The reflecting poll reflects something even worse, a narcissist, incompetent at the core of this administration. It's the corruption, the brazen, blatant corruption. Corruption on a scale never seen before in American history in any administration.
Tuesday saw the US Supreme Court wrap up its term with a series of rulings in a politically charged atmosphere. Already this week they had ruled in favour of mail-in ballots, while also giving Donald Trump more power to fire independent regulators, and Tuesday saw two verdicts which went in the US president's favour. The court upheld a ban on biological males from participating in female sports and also lifted a limit on political spending as they accepted an argument that it limited free speech. But Trump's executive order overturning birthright citizenship, the centrepiece of his immigration policy, was shot down with the court ruling that children born in the US have citizens' rights. That infuriated Trump and didn't particularly please House Speaker Mike Johnson either.
Birthing tourism, they call it. A trend where people will just come and you just come onto the soil and have your child and then they're able to avail themselves of the welfare state and everything else. It's been abused. It's one of those things that was intended to serve a noble and important purpose and has been thwarted.
Americans have been struggling with the price of gas and with food inflation as a consequence of Donald Trump's decision to go to war with Iran. But the president definitely hasn't been struggling, as his latest financial filing revealed that Trump has made at least $2 billion since returning to the White House, with the vast majority of that from his family's push into cryptocurrency. It raises huge questions about the ethics of the president and breaks all norms for residents of the White House, but Trump wasn't too worried when asked by reporters before he boarded his brand new jet, which was a gift from Qatar.
Well, you know why I'm profiting? Because the stock market's going up. Everybody's profiting. If you have a 401k, it's got up 85%. Thank you, President Trump. So we're all profiting. I'm profiting because I have a lot of money and a lot of cash.
Meanwhile, peace talks between mediators have continued in Doha, although the US and Iran are not meeting directly, and the Strait of Hormuz has been open to traffic. Vice President Vance said it's open because of America's aggression.
We dropped some bombs a couple of days ago. You know why? Because the Iranians were shooting at commercial ships. So we dropped some bombs, we applied some leverage, and we've had free commercial transit for the last 3 days.
Last week saw Ukraine and Russia continue to exchange strikes as the war rumbles on. Russia fired ballistic missiles at Kyiv last Sunday morning, killing at least 2 people, while Ukrainian drones struck targets across Russia, including the Krasnodar region, where 1 person was killed near an oil refinery. Russian President Putin spoke on Sunday at the United Russia Party Congress as the country prepares for State Duma elections in September, the first since the war with Ukraine started. Putin's party hold a 70% majority, and despite growing unease over the war, the elections aren't aren't expected to see a radical shift. The president was keen to emphasise that he will defend Russia against what he calls Ukraine's aggression.
Still, we see their forces, Ukrainian forces, losing their positions on the front line. That's why they resort to terrorism within Russia. They try to employ criminals to carry out terrorist attacks.
Russia's war on Ukraine took a peculiar turn on Tuesday as a bomb attack on a Ukrainian property tycoon left the Principality of Monaco in shock. The developer, Vladimir Molayev, was seriously injured, as was his wife and teenage daughter, and police have ruled out terrorism and have now identified a suspect as a potential assassin. It's not clear what the motivation might be, but Ukraine has continued its waves of long-range strikes on Moscow and the Russian oil industry, which is having a significant effect. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov floated the idea of Russia importing fuel as the Ukrainian sanctions are impacting supplies. Former US envoy to Ukraine, General Keith Kellogg, says it's another example of how the war is turning.
The spring, the summer, and the fall would turn to Ukraine as an advantage because they don't have the winter pressures on them. And I think that you're seeing that it's starting to change. For the first time since 2023, the Ukrainians are gaining ground.
Wednesday marked the launch of Ireland's 6-month spell as President of the Council of the European Union. There will be hundreds of EU meetings across the period, and things kicked off with an official state visit from Ukrainian President Zelensky to mark the occasion. He was welcomed by Irish Taoiseach Micheál Martin, who said that while Ireland is militarily neutral, it is not politically neutral when it comes to Ukraine, and he pledged to back Ukraine's EU membership bid. Russian President Putin is coming under increasing pressure as his country struggles to cope with Ukrainian attacks, and fuel shortages bring home the reality of war to the Russian people, but Zelensky was keen to keep the pressure on.
The world's strongest leaders have already told Russia that this war must end. However, Putin wants to keep fighting. That is why he must face conditions that make it impossible for him to keep this war going.
Russia launched another brutal wave of attacks on Ukraine early on Thursday morning. The main target this time was Kyiv, with more than 30 targets across the city hit in what Mayor Vitaly Klitschko described as the worst attack in 4 years of war. At least 27 people were killed, with dozens more injured, and President Zelensky returned early from his trip to Ireland to assess the situation. He has vowed that Ukraine will retaliate and reiterated his urgent call for more air defence systems as Russia continues to escalate its aggression.
Ukrainians will win this war, but to win is, it's such a difficult question. That's why we're asking our partners more pressure on Putin. Stop this war. At the end of the days, he will lose everything.
This week saw a new report published which found that the current education system is not serving the interests of white working-class children. The independent report, which was commissioned last summer, says that serious reforms are needed to address the fact that generations have been robbed of opportunity, according to Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson. There are 24 recommendations which include free access to public transport, improved childcare support and making more apprenticeships available. Phillipson was attacked last week by Tory leader Kemi Badenoch, who accused her of being a spiteful class warrior. But she says this report proves that there is a huge issue.
If you work hard in life, you'll get on. That, I'm afraid, is just not true. That is a lie that we tell ourselves, that it isn't the reality facing many families across this country. Education and the support that families get has the huge potential to change that, to make our country fairer. And I think it tells you a lot about the Tories that they're not interested, actually.
There was some good news on Monday, however, as the long-running dispute with resident doctors finally came to an end. New Health Secretary James Murray succeeded where West Streeting struggled, negotiating a deal that will see a 3.5% pay rise, which will be backdated to April. The deal also includes more training places, out-of-pocket expenses for things like exam fees, and a commitment to accelerate pay rates again in 2027. The deal brings an end to 3 years of industrial action, and Health Secretary Murray says he's looking forward to a better relationship in the future.
I want this to mark the beginning of a new chapter of engagement and cooperation with the resident doctor profession, the BMA and other unions representing NHS staff's best interests. I'm looking forward to working with you all to build an NHS fit for the future.
Maternity services in the UK have been in the spotlight as the statistics for maternal mortality have climbed by 20% over the last decade. Tuesday saw the results of a rapid review into overall care published, and Baroness Amos's report says that women and babies are being failed on a scale that shames our society and highlights issues of racism and discrimination embedded through the system. However, Baroness Amos is not recommending a full inquiry and instead has listed 8 key recommendations.
If the Secretary of State and the task force
take on board all the recommendations that we have made and start now the changes that we need in terms of cultures and systems within maternal and neonatal care will happen more quickly.
Health Secretary James Murray moved quickly to begin the implementation, including announcing plans to create a new position of National Maternity and Neonatal Commissioner.
The National Maternity and Neonatal Task Force, which I chair, will create a comprehensive action plan by the end of this year. Today's recommendations from Baroness Amos include a proposal for a modern service framework in line with a 10-year health plan to support system change and drive consistent quality care.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer issued a formal apology on Thursday. He was speaking on behalf of the state and apologising for its role in historical forced adoptions in England and Wales. Throughout the 1950s, 60s and 70s, an estimated 185,000 babies were taken from their mothers because they were unmarried. The PM said what had happened was a stain on our history.
The shame is not yours. The shame was never yours. The shame is ours. We are deeply and profoundly sorry.
The apology comes after years of campaigning from mothers, adoptees and wider family members, and there have also been a number of parliamentary inquiries. There was no announcement of a redress scheme, but funding has been put aside to support those attempting to trace their families. Karen Constantine is a committee member of the Movement for an Adoption Apology, and she says it's an important day.
This was a common practice. Everybody had a hand in it, knew exactly what they were doing, and it was designed to break us down, to make us less than human, to make us be accountable for our sins, because there was a healthy trade in newborn babies.
Still to come on the Standout 7 in association with Metro, England head to the last 16 and tributes to a sitcom queen. Right after this.
He's dribbling the ball with everything on the line. He's driving down the pitch. He's facing price hikes and cuts past him. Carrier Contracts tries to block him. Oh, he leaves him in the dust. He's at the edge of the box. He cuts past the nonstop group chat trash talk. He clears on goal and he shoots. Goal! Unlimited data for $25 a month forever!
Visit your local Boost Mobile store today to get unlimited data with a price that never changes. Boost Mobile. After 30 GB, customers may experience lower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost $25 unlimited plan.
You stopped waiting for permission and started building yourself, your dreams, your credit. Experian Boost could turn your on-time payments into instant FICO score gains. Every bill you paid could become proof of your power. Self-made? Absolutely. Self-funded? Experian could help you get there. Download the Experian app today. Results will vary. Not all payments are Boost eligible. Some may not see improved scores or approval odds. Not all lenders use credit information impacted by Experian Boost. See Experian.com for details.
Experian. Welcome back.
Wednesday was all about the World Cup as England faced the Democratic Republic of Congo in an epic battle for a spot in the last 16. The Congolese took an early lead just 7 minutes in and then set about locking down the pitch, much to England's frustration. Manager Thomas Tuchel had warned that they would be difficult opponents, but captain Harry Kane came to the rescue once again. He scored in the 75th minute to put England level and again 11 minutes later to win the game. England will now face co-hosts Mexico on Sunday, and the captain was being typically modest after the win.
We knew it was going to be a tough rock to break down, and they proved it. Their keeper more than anyone. I mean, he made some incredible saves throughout the game, especially in the first half, and we just kept going. And that's the team we are. You know, we're persistent. We don't give up. We knew their moments would come, and thankfully there's a couple there towards the end.
Wednesday night's victory saw England's World Cup squad head to Mexico City to face the co-hosts in the last 16. The game takes place on Sunday night, or more properly Monday morning, with a kick-off time of 1 a.m. British time. England coach Thomas Tuchel has already urged parents to let their kids miss school on Monday, saying that the game is too important for them to miss.
Write an excuse for school and let them watch football. Come on, there's so much school to go to, but World Cup is every 4 years. Let them watch. There will be a big match on in 4 days, and we need the support of everyone, and especially of the children.
And it seems like outgoing PM Keir Starmer agrees as he popped up with some good news for football fans on Thursday evening.
We're making sure that pubs can stay open on Monday morning, early on Monday morning, for the England game. If you're planning to watch it in the pub, that is great, and it's really good for pubs as well. So come on, England.
This week has seen rescuers in Venezuela digging frantically in efforts to find survivors from last Thursday's earthquakes, which devastated the capital, Caracas. The closure of the international airport because of damage slowed the arrival of international rescue teams, but a UK team arrived on site in Carabaleda on Sunday with specially trained dogs who can sniff out survivors. UN resident coordinator Gianluca Rampolla said that time is short, but that it was still possible to find survivors. Sky News was on scene to witness the rescue of an 11-year-old boy and speak to one of the team who saved him.
We all need this help, and we're all doing right, working together with love, because the life human being is the most important thing that we can have.
UN officials are making plans for as many as 10,000 casualties from the aftermath of the Venezuelan earthquakes as the window for finding survivors closes. More than 2,500 people are confirmed to have died, with thousands more injured, but tens of thousands are still missing as the country struggles to recover. American troops have been working to repair the damaged port of La Guaira to speed up the delivery of aid, and America has now pledged more than $300 million to aid survivors. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez addressed the nation on Monday, and she says that huge progress has been made on restoring utilities like power and water.
We have already recovered 75% of the electricity service. Teams will continue working until electricity is completely restored in La Guaira. It's the same with water, which is 68% recovered.
Thursday marked 7 days since twin earthquakes rocked Venezuela, causing chaos, death and destruction. International rescue crews and aid agencies have been flooding into the country, but with many collapsed multi-storey buildings and a shortage of heavy lifting equipment, hopes are fading for more survivors. There has been mounting criticism of the government's failure to move swiftly, but Edward Vivas, who is a coordinator with the State Director of Civil Protection, says no one is giving up hope.
We are working with teams verifying if we can rescue people alive. In fact, early this morning, a 2-year-old boy was rescued alive, and there is a satisfaction every rescuer feels when finding someone like that. We remain optimistic about finding more people alive.
The death was announced on Monday of one of the nation's favourite actresses, Dame Penelope Keith, at age 86. She passed away peacefully at home in Surrey after a long battle with cancer. It's hard to explain just how popular Penelope Keith was at her peak. She had 2 massive sitcoms, Keeping Up Appearances and 2 The Manor Born, which dominated ratings in the late 70s and early 80s and still get repeated to this day. She also spent time in theatre and won both BAFTA and Olivier Awards over the course of a long career, while she was also awarded an OBE, a CBE and made a Dame in 2014. She remained remarkably modest, as was clear during this interview with the BBC. Rest in peace, Penelope.
I was fairly plain looking, really, and tall, which was just a burden I carried with me from a very early age. And they'd say, of course, well, you know, yes, you'll be right, but you won't come into your own till you're 40.
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Hi, it's Paige from Giggly Squad, and this episode is sponsored by Experian Boost. Summer glow up? Check. Credit glow up? Even better. Boost your credit scores instantly by getting credit for bills you're already paying. Your phone, utilities, rent, and insurance. I wish dating kind of worked like that. Connect your bank account, add those on-time payments to your Experian credit file, and your FICO score updates right away. You could instantly raise your FICO score by an average of 14 points with Experian Boost. Download the Experian app for free today. Results will vary. Users who received a boost improved their FICO score 8 from Experian by an average of 14 points. See App Store or Experian.com for details.
Results will vary. Not all payments are boost eligible. Users who received a boost improved their FICO score 8 from Experian by an average of 14 points. Some may not see improved scores or approval odds. Not all lenders use Experian credit files. And not all lenders use scores impacted by Experian Boost. See Experian.com for details.
Summer's a gift. The gift of days that last a little longer. A brighter state of mind. So gift yourself a new Kia at the Kia Summer Sticker Sales Event. With specially tagged vehicles including the Sorrento, Sportage, Carnival, as well as the Niro Hybrid. All backed by a 10-year, 100,000-mile limited powertrain warranty. So the gift of summer can keep on giving for summers to come. Kia, movement that inspires.
Call 800-333-4KIA for details. Always drive safely. Event ends 7/6/26. See dealer for warranty details.